Welcome to our deep dive into Hanya Yanagihara's A Little Life.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be looking at excerpts from the novel.
Okay.
So get ready for an intimate look at the lives of Jude, Willem, Malcolm, and JB.
All right.
They're navigating friendship and ambition and some really tough stuff from their past.
Right, yeah, and all the New York City.
Yeah.
It's a novel that pulls no punches, you know?
Oh, for sure.
But there's this deep exploration of human connection.
Absolutely. And these excerpts we have, they throw us right into their world.
Yeah.
Like their first apartment it's not glamorous at all.
Oh, really?
It's this cramped space with just 2 twin beds.
Wow.
It's described as like a Victorian asylum.
That's such a powerful image, and it really sets up this contrast with their artist friends.
Right.
Living in these luxurious lofts.
Yeah, you get the sense that
Yeah.
Yanagihara is saying something about like socioeconomic differences.
Absolutely.
These friends start with very little.
Right, and the others seem to just float through life with all these advantages.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how that will affect them as they try to build their lives.
Right, their sense of who they are.
Exactly. But even in that tiny apartment,
Yeah.
there's hope.
Okay.
Especially for Jude and Willem, it's like a sanctuary
Like a place to...
to define their own terms.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's interesting how Yanagihara uses the apartment as a symbol for their emotional state.
Right, so much possibility, even within those limitations.
Exactly. And speaking of possibility,
Yeah.
Willem has some pretty sharp observations about the art world.
Oh, really?
He's an aspiring actor, and
Uh-huh.
he sees this difference between what he calls serious artists and those who treat art as like a lifestyle choice.
It's like he's peeling back those layers of pretense
Yeah, getting to the core of
as the heart of artistic integrity.
Right. He sees the dedication of the artists who are all in
Exactly, the single-minded focus,
versus those who
That's
are
about-
more interested in the social scene.
the social currency.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
can art be both self-expression and like a means to an end?
Yeah, a way to make a living.
Is there a point where the pursuit of success compromises the art itself?
That tension, that's something that everyone struggles with,
Oh, yeah.
especially in creative fields.
The pressure to conform.
Yes, versus staying true to your vision.
And it makes you think, where do Jude, Willem, Malcolm, and JB fit into all this?
Right. Are they in it for the recognition?
Yeah.
Something deeper?
But then there's this whole other layer to the story. The excerpts start to hint at a mystery surrounding Jude. And it comes out in a really unsettling way.
How so?
Through the scars on his body.
Oh, wow, that stops you in your tracks.
Yeah, Willem discovers Jude's self-harm, and it's a reminder of the pain he's carrying.
Right, both physical and emotional.
Yeah, and it creates this conflict for Willem. He wants to help,
Of course.
but he also has to respect Jude's privacy.
It's such a difficult situation to be in.
Yeah, and Jude isn't making it easy.
Really?
He's really guarded about his past.
Okay.
He hates talking about his childhood. There's even a scene with his therapist trying to get him to open up,
Yeah.
and
that's
Jude
right.
just shuts down.
That reaction speaks to the power of trauma.
Yeah, like he's learned that silence is the only way
Yeah.
to keep those memories away.
To stay safe.
And it makes me wonder if Jude will ever
Yeah.
be able to break that silence.
To confront what happened.
Yeah. Can he heal from that?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Can we ever truly escape our past?
Right. Or are we always shaped by
Yeah.
those wounds?
It's something to think about for sure.
Absolutely.
Now let's look at another relationship.
Yeah, okay.
JB and Jude.
Yeah. They have this.
This push and pull thing going on.
That's interesting. What makes their dynamics so complex?
Well, it's not always pretty.
Okay.
JB can be blunt,
Real.
even abrasive.
Huh.
But he really cares about Jude. He sees Jude's potential, and it frustrates him to see Jude so caught up in his own self-doubt.
Right. Like he's holding himself back.
Exactly. There's this line where JB asks,
What does he say?
do you want to spend your life just being completely average and boring and unseen?
Wow, that's...
It's harsh, but there's
Yeah.
truth to it.
He wants Jude to embrace life.
Yeah, to step out of the shadow.
To claim his place.
JB represents that part of us that wants freedom, self-expression, even if it means taking risks.
But what about Willem?
Right, Willem shows a different kind of love.
Okay.
His devotion to Jude is unwavering. He's always there for Jude.
Okay.
Takes him to doctor's appointments. Cares for him after he hurts himself.
Wow, he sounds like a guardian angel.
It makes you wonder what motivates him.
Right.
Is it just altruism, or is there a need to be needed?
That's a good question.
I think it speaks to how complex love can be.
The sacrifices we make.
Yeah, but I also wonder if that level of devotion can last.
Right. It seems like it's taking a toll on Willem.
Yeah, and then things get even more complicated.
Oh, how so?
When Jude starts seeing Caleb.
A new relationship.
Yeah, and you can feel a shift.
Between Jude and Willem.
Yeah, there's tension.
Even in the strongest friendships.
Yeah.
Things change.
People grow.
And their lives take different paths.
And it makes you wonder, how will this affect Jude and Willem's friendship?
That's something we'll have to keep exploring as we dive deeper into a little life.
But first, we have to talk about this moment where everything comes to a head.
Okay.
Willem confronts Jude about his self-harm.
Oh.
He finds Jude's razors, and
that must have been difficult.
You can feel the rage, the heartbreak, the desperation in Willem's voice.
Now, how does Jude react?
He finally cracks.
Oh, wow.
It's like he's been hiding behind a wall.
Yeah.
And for the first time, he's vulnerable.
It's like he's saying, I can't keep this secret anymore.
Yeah, the weight of it is
just too much.
But in that honesty, there's a glimmer of hope.
It could be the first step towards healing.
But then we get a new perspective.
Oh, okay. Who is it? Harold.
Oh, I remember him.
He's like a father figure to both Jude and Willem.
Right.
He's reflecting on their bond.
And this is after a tragedy.
Yes. One that changes everything.
Oh, wow. So he's looking back on
their relationship.
In light of what happened.
And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But also insightful.
What does he say?
He says he misses Willem, not just for what he did for Jude, but for who Willem was.
That's powerful. It speaks to a really deep connection.
Like, it goes beyond friendship. It transcends even death.
It sets the stage for us to explore loss and grief.
And the power of human connection.
Even in the face of pain.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like Willem being gone showed everyone how important he really was.
Yeah, it revealed all these dimensions we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And Harold, he always appreciated Willem's warmth and that infectious joy.
Right.
But losing him, he realized just how deeply Willem had touched everyone.
Not just Jude.
Yeah, and that loss, it just echoes through these excerpts.
It's not just about missing a friend, it's about how fragile life is.
How quickly things can change.
But even with all that darkness, there are other things happening.
Other stories unfolding.
Like with JB.
Oh yeah, the excerpts really don't shy away from his
addiction.
And it's not a simple story.
No.
She doesn't make JB a villain or a victim.
Right.
You see how complicated his struggle is?
You see those moments of clarity, but then...
Yeah, but then the pull of addiction.
Like a tug of war inside him.
Exactly.
And there's this scene with his therapist where JB admits that he's been playing games with him, giving him these dramatic answers just for a reaction.
That's interesting. Why do you think he does that?
I don't know. Maybe it's a defense mechanism.
To protect himself.
Yeah, to avoid any real connection.
You see his intelligence, but also this deep distrust.
A fear of being vulnerable.
Even with someone who's supposed to help him.
He can't help but perform.
Put up a wall.
But then there are times when his loyalty to his friends shines through.
Like when?
Like that scene at the party when he has a panic attack.
Oh, right.
And Jude helps him through it.
It shows that friendship isn't about being perfect.
No, it's about being there for each other.
Even when we're messed up ourselves.
Yeah, and it shows how complex their relationship is.
They can fight and push each other away.
Yeah.
But when it really matters,
they're there.
They have this shared history.
Yeah, their experiences bind them together.
Despite all their flaws.
But there's another thing about JB and Jude.
What's that?
JB gets frustrated with Jude's self-consciousness.
Like he's not living his life to the fullest.
There's that scene where JB asks, do you want to spend your life being average and boring and unseen?
Wow. No,
yeah, but I think he wants Jude to break free.
To overcome his limitations.
Yeah, to risk failure.
Embrace all of life.
Even the messy parts.
Like he's saying, don't let your past define you.
You're capable of so much more.
And, talking about seeing the full spectrum of a person?
Yes.
What about that scene where JB shows Jude those two paintings.
The ones he'd never shown anyone before?
One of Jude as a young man.
With the cigarette up.
Where he'd hurt himself.
It's like he's holding up a mirror to Jude.
Showing him a truth he can't see.
The strength and the fragility.
The light and shadow inside him.
Is that what real friendship is?
Seeing each other completely.
Accepting the good and the bad.
It's powerful how art can do that.
Yeah, show us the human experience.
But then we're taken back in time.
To Jude's childhood.
And we learn about Brother Luke.
That was a chilling revelation.
This man who seemed so kind and caring.
Turns out to be a predator.
It explains so much about Jude.
His fear of intimacy.
His inability to trust.
Yanagihara doesn't hold back. No, she shows the darkness that exists.
How abuse can break a person.
And you have to ask, how do you ever recover from that?
How do you rebuild your life?
When you've been betrayed so deeply?
It's a long journey.
With no easy answers.
But we see Jude's struggle.
His despair.
His resilience.
Trying to find control in a world that feels so unsafe.
And it makes Willem's devotion even more incredible.
Like he's a lifeline for Jude.
A light in the darkness.
But even Willem's love has its limits.
There's only so much one person can do.
And you see that in their confrontation.
When Willem finds Jude.
After he's hurt himself again.
Willem breaks down.
He's so overwhelmed.
With grief and anger.
He wants to shake Jude out of it.
He asks, do you think anyone would want to be with you?
Do you think anyone could love you?
That's such a painful question.
And Jude says, I know that's why I'm alone.
It's like he's given up.
He believes he's unlovable.
It's like the abuse has distorted his view of himself.
And Willem sees the beauty in Jude.
The beauty Jude can't see himself.
But even Willem reaches a point
where he has to ask for help.
He goes to Andy, Jude's doctor, and asks, is he mentally ill?
It's a question that's been in the back of our mind.
Is it trauma or is it something more?
Something that needs medication.
More therapy.
What does Andy say?
He says he doesn't think anything's chemically wrong with Jude.
Really?
He says his craziness is all man-made.
So he's saying that even without a diagnosis,
trauma can create this.
Yeah, this mental and emotional chaos.
It disrupts your sense of self.
Makes it hard to function in the world.
And we have to ask, is that a better explanation for Jude
than any label?
And how can he possibly heal from that?
Yeah.
But we also have to acknowledge the physical toll
of his self-harm.
The excerpts show us the brutality.
The wounds.
They're getting worse.
More frequent.
It makes you wonder, how much more can his body take?
How much more can he take?
It's a constant reminder of how fragile we are.
Physically and emotionally.
But then there's this surprising thing. Jude's success as a lawyer.
Oh yeah, he's doing really well.
Working at a top firm.
It's like he's compartmentalized his suffering.
Built a separate space for his career.
Shows his intelligence and drive.
But can he keep that up?
Yeah, won't he burn out?
There's that scene where he's working late.
Yeah.
And he realizes it's no longer night, it's day.
Wow.
He just observes it.
Like he doesn't feel anything.
Like he's numb.
It's emotional exhaustion.
A way to cope with a world that feels overwhelming.
It's also dangerous.
Yeah, like he's losing touch with himself.
Going through the motions.
Can he find happiness like that?
If he shut down a part of himself?
It's something we all struggle with.
Balancing work and well-being.
Trying to thrive in a demanding world.
And then there's Willem.
Yeah, his acting career is
taking off.
He's getting more recognition.
Landing bigger roles.
And it's creating distance between them.
It's natural as people grow.
Their lives change.
It shows that even strong bonds
can be tested
by circumstances.
And it's interesting how their journeys are so different.
In what way?
Jude is succeeding professionally.
Yeah.
But struggling internally.
And Willem,
he's finding fulfillment
in his work.
But his work requires him to
become different people.
Feel different emotions.
I wonder if their experiences will bring them closer.
Or push them further apart.
Will they be able to support each other?
Through these changes?
Or will the distance become too much?
There's that scene where Willem calls Jude from Sri Lanka.
What does he say?
He's describing all the amazing things he's seeing.
Yeah.
And you can hear the longing in Jude's voice.
It's like he wants that freedom too.
But he's trapped.
And it's a foreshadowing of
a tragedy.
Willem so full of life.
And Jude sinking into despair.
What a contrast.
It makes you wonder if things could have been different.
If they'd had more time.
It's like they're living in parallel universes.
Their lives moving in opposite directions.
But their hearts still connected.
Yeah.
And then Jude meets Caleb.
His first real romance.
Since Willem.
And how does that go?
It's tense right from the start.
Why is that?
Jude is afraid to let Caleb in.
To show his vulnerabilities.
The trauma is always there.
Like a shadow hanging over them?
There's this scene where they're having dinner and
Yeah.
Jude suddenly feels the urge to cut himself.
Oh, no.
He goes to the bathroom and thinks, don't let Caleb see you like this.
It shows how trauma affects intimacy.
Jude is terrified of being rejected.
It's for his pain.
Like he's built a wall around his heart.
Can love break through that?
Can he experience real connection?
It's a question so many survivors face.
Can you be vulnerable again?
Risk being hurt.
To find the joy of intimacy.
It's a tough choice.
And then Caleb gets angry.
What happens?
He doesn't understand why Jude doesn't want to be touched.
Oh, wow.
He calls Jude deformed.
That's awful.
It shows how little Caleb understands.
He lacks empathy.
He can't handle Jude's past.
It's a reminder that not everyone can.
Handle that kind of complexity.
Yeah, and it can lead to heartbreak.
Caleb isn't the right person for Jude.
No, he doesn't have the patience
Or the compassion.
to understand what Jude needs.
But there's something else.
Yeah.
Even with all this going on with Caleb,
Yeah.
Jude finds himself thinking about Willem.
Oh, really?
He doesn't want Willem to know about Caleb.
That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think it shows how strong their bond is.
Even though Willem is gone,
He's still so important to Jude,
like he's still seeking Willem's approval,
trying to protect him.
even though he's not there.
It shows the depth of their love,
That it goes beyond time and space.
and it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
can we ever really let go of the people we love?
Do their memories stay with us
Do they guide us?
as we move forward?
It's a question that will stay with us.
As we continue to explore and the lives of these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does make you think about that, doesn't it? How the people we've lost are still present in our lives. And as we get to the end of these excerpts, that question just becomes even more powerful.
Yeah, definitely. The excerpts, they end with this really poignant scene. Willem is getting ready to leave for Paris.
For his film shoot.
Right. He's excited about it, but you can tell he's also worried about leaving Jude.
Makes sense. He wants to pursue his career, but he cares so much about Jude.
He's afraid something will happen while he's gone.
It's like he's torn between his own ambition and his responsibility to Jude.
Yeah, and Jude is trying to be reassuring.
Telling him everything will be okay.
But there's this emptiness in his voice.
It's like he's resigned to something.
Like he knows something bad is going to happen.
It makes you question everything, doesn't it? Hope and resilience and...
I know. It's so hard to think about what's coming, knowing this could be their last goodbye.
It really makes you feel the weight of their relationship.
And it makes me think about the title, A Little Life. It seems almost ironic when you think about all the pain Jude goes through.
That's a really good point. The title, it's so simple, but it has so many layers.
Makes you think about how precious life is.
Even when it's filled with suffering.
But it also shows how trauma can limit a person.
How it can make their life feel smaller.
And like Jude can't escape the pain and self-destruction.
He can't experience all the good things life has to offer.
But even within that little life, there are these beautiful moments.
Moments of deep connection.
Especially with Willem.
Their friendship, it shows the power of love and loyalty.
Even in the darkest times.
Human connection can be so powerful.
It makes you think, what is the real message of this book?
What do we take away from all this pain and heartbreak?
What do we learn from these characters?
Well, I think it's a story about how complex we are as humans.
About how much we can endure.
The resilience of the human spirit.
But it also shows the lasting effects of trauma.
How it affects everything.
Our relationships.
Our sense of who we are.
It's a story that sticks with you.
Makes you think about love and friendship and what it means to heal.
It makes you feel empathy for people who are struggling.
People carrying burdens we can't see.
These excerpts, they're just a small part of a little life.
A glimpse into this world.
But they bring up so many important questions.
About trauma and resilience and the meaning of life.
As you keep reading, think about how this book connects with your own experiences.
Think about the people in your life and the sacrifices you make for them.
Think about the power of connection even when there's loss and heartbreak.
And think about what it means to truly live.
To embrace all that life has to offer.
Even when it feels impossible.
That's the challenge these characters give us.
It's a challenge to be more compassionate.
More understanding.
More open to the complexities of being human.
And it reminds us that even in the midst of pain, there's always a possibility of hope.
The possibility of beauty and connection.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into A Little Life.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And we hope it inspires you to keep exploring this powerful story.